I was born in a cage, though the scientists never called it that. They called it a containment unit. I called it the only world I knew. The walls were thick metal, cold under my paws, and the air always smelled of chemicals that stung my nose. Bright lights buzzed above me day and night, so I never knew when it was truly morning. I only knew the sound of footsteps, the hiss of the restraint field turning on and off, and the constant hum of machines that watched my every breath. I was not like the other creatures they kept in that facility. I was bigger, stronger, faster. My claws could tear through steel if I pushed hard enough. My eyes could see in the dark better than any humans. They had built me, or bred me, or found me. I never fully understood which. To be a weapon, a living weapon, kept behind glass and energy fields, studied and tested every single day. Most of the humans who worked around me were afraid. I could smell it on them, thick and sour, every time they came near my cage. They moved quickly, spoke in short, nervous sentences, and never looked me in the eyes for long. Some of them were cruel, not because they hated me, but because fear makes people do strange things. They would starve me for a day if I did not perform well in their tests. They would shock the floor of my cage if I growled too loudly. But there was one human who was different. Her name was Mira. I learned her name early, because she was the only one who ever said it to me, softly, like it was a secret between us. She was small compared to the guards, thin, with tired eyes and gentle hands. She was the one who fed me when the others forgot, or when they punished me by withholding food. She always came at the same time, carrying a tray of meat, and she never once flinched when I stepped close to the energy field that separated us. She talked to me, even though I could not answer with words. She would tell me about her day, about the weather outside that I never saw, about how tired she was of the long hours in this cold building. I listened, even if I did not understand every word. I understood her voice. I understood that it was calm and warm, and never once filled with fear. Once, during a testing procedure, one of the machines malfunctioned and cut into my leg. The pain was sharp and sudden, and I let out a roar that shook the room. The other scientists ran. Mira did not. She stayed, even though the safety protocols told her to leave, and she pressed a cloth against my wound through a small opening in the field. Her hands were shaking, but she did not pull away. That was the day I understood something about her that I had never understood about any other human. She was not afraid of me. She was afraid. For years passed like that, testing, waiting, silence, and Mira's voice breaking through it all like a small light in a dark room. I grew larger, stronger, more feared by everyone else in that facility. But with Mira, I remained the same, still, calm, almost gentle, in the only way a creature like me could be gentle. Then came the day everything changed. I do not know exactly what happened. There was a loud alarm, red lights flashing across every wall, and the hum of the restraint field around my cage suddenly stopped. I felt it before I understood it, the absence of that constant pressure that had held me in place for years. The field was down. For a moment, I did not move. I had never known freedom before. My body did not know what to do with the sudden lack of walls. Then instinct took over. I pushed forward, and the door that had held me my entire life gave way easily, as if it had never been strong at all. I ran. The corridors were full of noise, alarms blaring, guards shouting, footsteps echoing from every direction. I could smell fear everywhere, thick and overwhelming, filling the air like smoke. People scattered as I passed, diving into rooms, slamming doors behind them. I was not thinking about them. I was thinking only of moving forward, of finding open air, of finally seeing something beyond metal walls. I turned a corner, moving fast, ready to break through anything in my path. And then I saw her. Mira stood in the middle of the corridor, alone, without a weapon, without armor, without anything to protect her. Behind her, other guards were arriving, raising their weapons, shouting for her to move out of the way. But she did not move. She stood perfectly still, her eyes locked on mine. I stopped. My entire body, which had been moving with the force of years of caged energy, simply stopped. It was as if some invisible wall had appeared between us, though I knew there was nothing there but her. My muscles, tensed for a fight or a desperate escape, went still. The world around me seemed to grow quiet, even though the alarms were still blaring and the guards were still shouting. I do not know how to explain what happened in that moment, except to say that I recognized her. Not just her face, not just her scent, but everything she had been to me across all those years. The one who fed me, the one who spoke gently, the one who stayed when I was hurt, even though every instinct should have told her to run. "It's okay," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "It's okay, I'm here." The guards were closing in from behind her, weapons raised, ready to fire the moment I made a wrong move. I could have broken past her easily. I could have knocked her aside without even trying, cleared the guards in seconds, and been free of that building forever. Every part of my body, trained by years of captivity and testing, told me this was my only chance. But I did not move. Mira took a slow step forward, ignoring the shouts behind her, telling her to stop, to get back, to let the guards handle this. She raised one hand, the same hand that used to hold the tray of food, the same hand that had pressed a cloth to my wound years before. "You're not going to hurt me," she said softly. "I know you're not." I lowered my head. It was not submission. I want to be clear about that. I was not bowing to her because she had power over me, because in that moment, I had all the power. I was larger than her, faster than her, and there was nothing in that corridor that could have stopped me if I chose to keep running. I lowered my head because I chose to. Because in all my years locked in that cold building, she was the only one who had ever treated me like I was more than a weapon, and I would not repay that kindness with harm. The guards were still shouting, still moving closer, their weapons trained on me. I could hear the tension in their voices, the fear returning to fill the corridor. Mira turned to face them, standing between me and their weapons, her arms raised. "Stand down," she said. "Please, just give me a moment." For a long, tense stretch of time, no one moved. I could feel the weight of every eye in that corridor, every weapon aimed at me, every breath held in fear, and still, I did not move against her. Finally, one of the senior officers stepped forward, lowering his weapon slightly. "Mira, step away. That thing could kill you in a second." "He won't," she said, without hesitation. "He never has, and he never will." I do not know what made the officer finally agree, whether it was the calm certainty in her voice, or the sight of me standing still despite every opportunity to attack. But slowly, the guards lowered their weapons. The tension in the corridor began to ease, though the fear did not fully disappear. Mira turned back to me, her hand still raised. "I know you want to leave," she said. "I know this place has never been kind to you, but I need you to trust me a little longer." I did not understand everything happening around me, the discussions between the officers, the decisions being made about what to do with me, but I trusted her. I had trusted her for years, in the only way a creature like me could trust anything. In the days that followed, everything changed. Word of what happened in that corridor spread through the facility, and eventually beyond it. People argued about what should be done with me, whether I should be recaptured, studied further, or something else entirely. But Mira fought for me in ways I did not fully understand until much later. She spoke to people above the officers, above the scientists, people who had the power to decide my future. She told them what she had seen, not a weapon that needed to be contained, but a creature capable of choosing kindness over violence, even when given every reason and every opportunity to do otherwise. She told them that fear had built my cage, but it did not have to be what defined my life. Eventually, the decision was made to move me to an open reserve, far from the cold walls and bright lights of that facility. It was not full freedom, not at first, but it was more space than I had ever known, open sky above me instead of metal ceilings, real ground beneath my paws instead of sterile floors. Mira visited often, even after I was moved. She would sit at the edge of the reserve, not needing any field or barrier between us anymore, and talk to me the same way she always had. About her day, about the world beyond, about how proud she was of the choice I made that day in the corridor. I think about that moment often, the moment I froze in front of her instead of running past. Every other human I had known in that facility ruled through fear, control, and cold experiments. But Mira had shown me something different, something I did not have a word for until I understood it clearly. She ruled through trust. Not the trust of a master over a beast, but the trust between two beings who had chosen, again and again, to be kind to each other. I could have broken free in violence that day. Instead, I found something better than freedom alone. I found someone worth staying still for, someone worth choosing peace for, even after a lifetime spent in a cage built entirely on fear. And in the quiet moments now, standing beneath open sky instead of buzzing lights, I understand that the strongest thing I ever did was not escaping that cage. It was choosing not to hurt the one person who never once made me want to.